Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Please let us know in the comments where you're joining in from, and hello to everyone watching on the replay as well. Don't forget you can continue to share and watch this video after we have gone live. I'm Stephanie Taliaferro, representing the Hope for ATRT Foundation. Hope for ATRT is a research entity focused on directing research and resources to families in the fight against ATRT. Today, we have joining me Kim Duran. She is the mom of ATRT angel Tal Esther Duran and the founder of Tali's Fund. I'm so honored to have her joining us today. So we're going to bring her right on in and have her share. Hi, Kim. Thank you
Stephanie.
so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much to Hope for ATRT and to you for having me today. I'm so honored to be joining this amazing community that you guys have created.
Absolutely. We are honored to get to know you and share you with our community as well today. So let's jump right in. I know we've got a lot to cover, and we're going to just start by getting to know you and your family. Could you just walk us through the timeline of Tali's ATRT journey?
Sure. So Tali was a typical 3-year-old girl, and until the time of her diagnosis, everything was great. Everything was fine. In the summer of 2006, she started having a few bouts of vomiting, and we didn't really think much of it at the time. Kids do that. This is the story I hear from so many ATRT parents. And in September, her daycare teacher let me know that she was a little bit lethargic and not completely herself. But again, we just didn't think much of it at the time. We just thought maybe she had some stomach flu, or, there were some bugs going around. And then it was October 28th, 2006. It was actually just before Halloween. And unfortunately, she never got to wear that Halloween costume that I had for her. And she had been throwing up a lot, and she was very, very lethargic, and we thought she was dehydrated. A brain tumor was, of course, the last thing on our minds. I took her into North York General Hospital in Toronto. And I think the doctors thought the same thing, that, there was a stomach flu going around. She was dehydrated. They put her on an IV. She wasn't improving so much, so they decided to keep us overnight. And a few hours later, all hell broke loose, basically. And she started seizuring, and, all of a sudden there were, 12 people in the room. You kind of feel like you're in a movie. They had to basically stabilize her. They didn't know what they were treating. They eventually did induce a coma in order to stabilize her, and sent us by ambulance to Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto. At that point, she was taken in for a CT scan, and that's when we were told that they had found a large mass in her brain. She then was taken for surgery, and in fact had many more surgeries after that. I believe something like 7 or 8 different surgeries. She began, and after the first surgery, we were told by the team of doctors that the tumor was an ATRT type of tumor. We were told the prognosis was not great, but they were going to do what they could. So she started her treatment, which involved the very commonly used treatment of 3 cycles of high dose chemotherapy, followed by 3 more cycles of chemotherapy with stem cell transplant. It was a very, very difficult time. We were in the hospital for almost 6 months. And at the end of March of 2007, she was discharged. And at that point, we were actually quite hopeful. She was, her MRI showed good results. She was starting to get stronger. Her hair was growing back, and she seemed to be doing well. We had another MRI that May, and again, encouraging results, and we were hopeful. even starting to think about maybe, sending her back to her daycare, her preschool. And we celebrated her 4th birthday in June. Unfortunately, early in August, she started complaining of stomach and neck pain. And one day she woke up and she could actually hardly move her neck. She was, kind of sitting like that. And I knew something was terribly wrong. I took her to Sick Kids, and our worst fears were confirmed. The CT scan revealed that the cancer was back. She had relapsed, and it was everywhere. And there was nothing more that could be done. In fact, it was Dr. Annie Huang who was on call that day, and she was the one who had to give us that news. We stayed overnight, and we decided to bring her home, given that there wasn't really much more that could be done at the hospital. And 3 weeks later, on August 26th, 2007, at home with her dad and I by her side, she took her last breath. I wouldn't wish that on any parents. And I know there are other parents here watching who have gone through the same journey. And I'm with you or are going through that journey. And I'm hopeful. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing, Kim. And we are with you in that grieving as well. Let's think about some special memories. Let's get to know the fun and special Tali as well. What was she like? What were maybe some fond memories that you can reflect on?
Well, I think I feel blessed that I did have a lot of time with her, even during her illness. She, in between, she was still a happy, fun, silly little girl, and we had many good times together, and to continue to create many happy memories. And I'm very grateful for that. Tali was a twin. She was born 27 minutes after her brother Noam. And she and her twin brother were very, very close. They did everything together, and they also loved spending time with their older brother Amir, who's 2.5 years older. What do I remember about Tali? She had an infectious smile, an infectious laugh. You could see it in any pictures or videos of her. And she had these huge eyes. She loved, at that time, Dora the Explorer. That was her hero. She had everything Dora the Explorer that you could imagine. Everybody gave her gifts, and in fact, I remember Dr. Wang even mentioning that Tali kind of looked like Dora the Explorer because she had these big eyes, these huge, beautiful eyes. She had a lot of nicknames. She had these cute, chubby little legs, and her dad used to call her his chunky monkey. We called her sometimes Bean Queen, actually, because she loved green beans, and so that was her. She was our Bean Queen.
Oh.
She what else? She loved being outside. She loved the water. She would often go swimming in the pool or at a nearby lake with her dad and her brothers. And she was very active. She loved, riding her bike and kicking a soccer ball and that type of thing. Even in the hospital, I took her, I remember once, to the gym, and I taught her how to play hockey. She took a hockey stick and she was, trying to hit it into the net. She loved singing. We used to sing all the time. We're a very musical family. So many memories of her singing, of us singing together. And even in the hospital, lots of happy memories, like lots of good times and lots of silly and fun times. I remember, I'm sure parents can relate to this if you've been in the hospital with your child, but when the IV bag is empty and you need to have it changed, you need to, click the button to call the nursing station to to let them know to come and change it. And she just got to know the whole procedure, how things went. And so, when we would say, oh, your IV's empty, she would just press the button and the nursing station would call and she'd say, IV, please. She really liked to kind of be part of her treatment, and she liked to help, with the syringe and anything that she could do on her own. She was liked to be very independent. We taught her how to take pills, and at 3 years old, she was able to take a pill. And so she would show off, like she would put the pill on her tongue and stick out her tongue and then swallow it and then show us that it's gone. And we would sing this big song of celebration for her. We would say, Tali took her medicine, Tali took her medicine. And she was so proud that that she could do that.
Well, that's so sweet.
So yeah. And even through tough times, even when there were times where she would have just thrown up, and 5 minutes later I'd have her in the bath and she'd be singing, laughing, being silly. She was resilient and amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you so much for those. Those are fantastic memories to share. In honor of Tal, in honor of Tali, you have started Tali's Fund. Please share, for those who haven't heard, what, when, and how that all started.
Okay, so when Tali was diagnosed, which was in 2006, there really were not many options or resources for us. And after she died, her dad, Ori, and I wanted to do something to change things for other families. So in 2008, we approached some of Tali's doctors at Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto. And together with another family, we donated some funds to start an ATRT research study under the direction of Dr. Annie Huang at the Brain Tumor Research Center at Sick Kids Hospital here in Toronto. And as I said previously, Dr. Huang was one of Tali's doctors. So this was kind of the beginning of Tali's Fund. And I guess since then we've been working closely with Dr. Huang and her research team, and have been, active since then.
That's amazing. Looking at your website, you have this really cool page that kind of has a timeline of your accomplishments. Could you just give kind of an overview of the work of over these years that's kind of led up to where you are today?
Sure. So, as I mentioned before, it was just a small thing that we started. It was another family. We gave a relatively small amount of seed money. And at that time, they started a study on, I think they had a group of about 14 patients. And I remember Dr. Huang explaining that it wasn't that easy to get a large group of patients to study, especially with something like ATRT that is so rare. You really need large numbers to see patterns. But it was what it was. They had 14 patients. What ended up happening was kind of beyond our wildest imagination in terms of what could have happened in a relatively short period of time. So that initial investment allowed them to study that small group of patients, which then produced data that allowed them to apply for and receive grants to expand the study. And it mobilized a global collaborative study involving over 40 countries, which at this point is still ongoing. So Dr. Huang's research team revealed that ATRT is actually not really one disease. They identified 3 subtypes of ATRT, each seemingly responsive to different types of drugs, different kinds of treatments. So in 2020, so pretty recently, Dr. Huang's data on ATRT subtypes was used by the Children's Oncology Group to design a prospective ATRT clinical trial. The Children's Oncology Group is the world's largest clinical trials group that's devoted exclusively to childhood and adolescent cancer research. So at this point, researchers are continuing to analyze tumor samples and treatment data from patients, and to try to determine what works and what works and what doesn't work for different types of ATRT. That's sort of like the one side of things. And then in terms of treatment for ATRT, there have been some important discoveries coming out of sick kids as well. So I'll give you a little bit of the history. In 2008, let's say in 2007, after Tali passed away, there was another little boy named CJ Brown, who basically was diagnosed with ATRT, and kind of at the beginning went through the same treatment protocol that Tali went through. It didn't include a radiation, which was the same as what happened with Tali. Doctors, at the end of his treatment, cancer cells were still there, and the doctors told his mother, Sylvie Boucher, that nothing else could be done, and that was the end, basically. Sylvie ended up doing her own research, and she approached the doctors and begged them basically to try intrathecal chemotherapy treatment, where chemotherapy is delivered directly to the cerebrospinal fluid. The doctors agreed to try this. At that time, they used an Ommaya reservoir, which is a device that's inserted under the scalp. And CJ underwent this type of treatment, and he survived. He's now 16 years old, and since then, at Sick Kids, they have been using this type of model, which basically spares these children from harmful radiation, and provides intrathecal chemotherapy, and is showing some good results for some children. It's also being used in other parts of the world. I know Australia, Spain, and more. And they are finding that about 40% of these children are surviving. So it definitely seems that what they've found is that for some children, they can be treated successfully with intrathecal chemotherapy and without brain and spine radiation. As we know, radiation can be so harmful to a child's brain, and especially a young infant's brain. So if there's any possibility of avoiding this, of course, any doctor or any parent, I think, would want to. I think at this point, the hope is that if additional findings come out of this, that perhaps it can be used, the information can be used and applied to other types of brain tumors in young children, and also in older children, and perhaps even in adults. So still a long way to go, but we're hopeful, and we're seeing some promising results. So.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you for sharing. Some of our viewers may remember, if they attended our ATRT rally last year, we were so fortunate to have Dr. Annie Huang join us and share the work that she's doing with ATRT. And she actually shared the story of CJ. So for anyone who was with us at our rally last year, got to hear firsthand from her. Also on your website, you have a quote from Dr. Wang that says, "The important work seeded by your funds, Tali's funds, these funds that she's talking about here, have allowed a small project to develop into one that promises to have a significant impact on the way that we treat the next generation of children with rhabdoid tumors." So we just, on behalf of us and all of our community watching, we just want to thank you for the work that you are doing with Tali's Fund, and the work that you have helped to start to launch with just pursuing this ATRT research with Dr. Annie. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And of course, we are so fortunate to have Dr. Wang, who's so devoted and has put in so much time and energy into what she's doing. So I think we're all fortunate to have her and her work and her devotion. So
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't remember if you had mentioned about the Rare Brain Tumor Consortium yet.
I hadn't, yeah.
Let's just share about how that's connected with what Dr. Annie is doing as well, and what else our community can learn about that.
Thank you. Yes, I did want to cover that too. So thank you for mentioning that. You know, when you have a rare tumor or any kind of rare disease, it's important to try to get large numbers of samples to analyze in order for researchers to see patterns. Dr. Wang, you know, many years ago did create this consortium where parents could donate their tumor tissue samples. Through the research that they did, you know, with the initial seed funding and then subsequent funding for Atrt and other types of rare tumors, they were able to set up this global registry for rare brain tumors, for childhood rare brain tumors. Basically what it does is it allows parents to donate their child's tissue sample and connects the parents with other parents, with other doctors, and kind of letting them know what's out there, and also allows researchers to then collect the tumor samples and to be able to have these larger numbers for research. What kind of started out again as something very small, because of the global collaboration that came out of it, we now have the largest tissue bank for rare childhood brain tumors right here in Toronto, the largest in the world, at the Arthur and Sonia Labatt Brain Tumor Research Center at SickKids. So there are now over 150 participating centers worldwide. I believe there are about 1,800 patients enrolled and about 3,000 samples banked of different types of rare tumors. So of course, this just opens the door to so much more in terms of research and what can come out of it. I know that Dr. Wang really wants parents to understand how much global collaboration can move the needle. And I would encourage parents, if possible, to donate their tumor tissue. Whether your child survived or did not survive, the information is so valuable. And you know, you can help by enabling the materials and the information to be centrally deposited in a way that others can use. Dr. Wang also mentioned that the samples can be donated at any time, you know, because I was asking, like, if it's my child and I'm, you know, kind of in the middle of all of this, it's hard to even think about donating your child's tumor sample. But, you know, she said that there are children whose tissue samples were donated long after they had passed away. I think it's important for parents to know that. I wanted to just kind of put the information out there in terms of how parents can donate their tissue samples. The clinical information has to be provided and confirmed by a medical professional. So the different ways that it can be done, parents can reach out to Dr. Wang's team through the Rare Brain Tumor Consortium website. There's tons of information on there. They can go directly to that website, or we have a link to it on our website as well. And someone from the RBTC can contact their oncologist. Or the parents can speak directly with their own oncologist, provide them with a link to the Rare Brain Tumor Consortium website, and they can go about it that way. Either way, there just needs to be some legal paperwork that goes on between the hospitals that are transferring and accepting the material. But it was explained to me that the ultimate permission lies in the hands of the parents and sort of executed by the medical professionals. They also collect other materials such as blood from different family members because it enables them to study a little bit more about the possible genetic basis for these baby tumors. So that's another thing that can be donated through the RBTC. And I want to mention one more thing, which I think, even I didn't realize. I was speaking with Dr. Huang recently, and she was saying that it's really important for us to understand that the tumor sample, once it's donated, will always be there. Once it's deposited, it can be used over and over again as new tools are developed. It can be used for 30, 40, and more years for the next generation even of doctors. So many years from now, Tali's sample or the other samples that they have collected could be still be helping another child with ATRT or a similar type of baby cancer. So I would encourage and hope that that parents would consider donating if they haven't already, their tissue samples.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing. Is there any other ways that families can get involved, get connected with you or with the Rare Brain Tumor Consortium?
Sure. As I said, the Rare Brain Tumor Consortium website is available through the Sick Kids website. So if you just Google Rare Brain Tumor Consortium, it should show up. But if not, you can always contact me directly. My email address is kim@talisfund.org. And I can direct you. You can go to our website at talisfund.org. All the information is on there, and links to the other information that you might need is on there. And also just to mention that Sick Kids has an international patient program where families can request an opportunity for a consult with doctors at Sick Kids. So that's another option.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Before we go, I do want to give you the chance to share about your upcoming fundraiser that you have for Tali's Fund next week.
Thank you. Yes, we're very excited for it, actually. We have a few events coming up. The newest one, the upcoming one, is on September 30th at 8 p.m. And it's an online event called 3 Stars Connect. It's a really interesting concept created by Lindsay and Cliff Ritter, where it's a musical event. So there are dancers and singers that submit a performance, and it's put together into a show, and it becomes a voting platform. So people can go online, watch the performances, and vote online for their favorite performance. So it's kind of like an American Idol type of thing. But the cool concept is that the votes are translated into dollars. So I believe it's like $1 per vote or something like that, and then all of the votes collected turn into dollars to Tali's Fund or to whatever charity they're supporting. So it should be an exciting event. There is going to be at the beginning of the event an opportunity for people to learn more about Tali's Fund. I did some interviews with Dr. Huang. I interviewed a couple of parents. I interviewed CJ, so that will be interesting for you to hear a little bit from CJ himself. And in fact, I myself have a musical background as a singer and performer for many, many years, sort of like one of my other hats. And so I decided to join the show as well, and I will be performing a song. It was a very special song. It was a song that was written for Tali by my brothers, Ryan and Dan Kowarski, along with Amy Sky Jordan and Stephanie Macchio. And I'm honored to be able to sing it. And so that will also be part of the show. So it should be great. Yeah. Please join. Please log in. You can go to our website to find the information under upcoming events. It should be on all our social media platforms, a link to it. But it's 3starsconnect.ca. And if you can't make it that night, they do keep the show open and the voting platform open for, I believe, another 48 hours. So you can still go and watch it and vote afterwards as well. And then I think the winning performance, it will, goes onto the 3 Stars Connect website and stays there forever, as far as I know. And if I may, we have a couple of other events coming up.
Yeah.
So we've recently partnered in Toronto with something called the Scotiabank Waterfront Marathon. It's a huge annual fundraising event. It is a marathon which provides the opportunity for participants to raise money for a charity of their choice, the ones that have partnered with them. The cool thing now is that they have an option for a virtual run or walk.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not a runner, you can walk. You can do it anywhere in the world. You can do it outdoors, indoors. You can run the distance of your choice. There are, quite a number of options. You can do it alone. You can create a team. And what's also cool is that it can happen anytime between October 1st and October 31st, which and so I don't know how many of you are familiar with the International Brain Tumor Alliance Walk Around the World for Brain Tumors. But anyone who, is walking or running can donate these miles or these kilometers to the Walk Around the World for Brain Tumors. And it's a cumulative thing where all of the miles or kilometers walked will be added up and publicized by the IBTA. So anyone who's interested in joining, again, like I said, it's virtual. So the information is on our website. And then last but not least, we have at the end of October is International Brain Tumor Awareness Week. We'll be holding an online silent auction for music memorabilia. So watch for that as well. That should be really exciting. And if anyone's interested in finding out more about that, again, just please follow any of our social media pages, sign up for our newsletter through our website, or just go to our website. It will keep you up to date about what's coming up. And of course, if anyone's interested in making a donation directly to Tali's fund, you can do that directly through our website as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kim, for sharing all that. And I will try to put the links in the comments as well for the video so that people can kind of find you and click around and make sure that they get connected to you on social media. And like you said, get your newsletters. That's a great way to stay in the loop of what you are doing. We just want to thank you again for sharing. You are just doing so much work for ATRT research, and we are grateful for you in this space. We're very excited to be partnering with you and with Dr. Annie's Rare Brain Tumor Consortium. So looking to the future and can't wait to see what comes of that. But yeah, just hope our audience today and the watchers on the replay can get connected, can learn more. If you continue to have questions, definitely reach out to Kim. Put them
Absolutely.
in the
Yeah.
They're a great presence on social media, so definitely go and find them and follow them. And just thank you so much for sharing today, Kim.
It was my absolute pleasure. Thank you, Stephanie, and thank you to Hope for ATRT for hosting me and for all the important work that you guys are doing. As I said, when we started this journey, there just wasn't anything out there, and I know that's another reason why Hope for ATRT was created. And I'm grateful that exists today, that parents will have access to more, and I look forward to continuing to work collaboratively with you guys and with any other like-minded individuals out there, because of course together is how we make a difference, right?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kim. Thank you all for watching today, and we hope you have a great rest of your day.